Right, you join me today on the banks of the River Wharfe. I'm going to try and catch a few barbel, and what I want to do is I want to go through different presentations that I use to catch these fish and try and explain to you as and when I use them. Hopefully we'll catch fish on every one to prove that they work, but if not, it's worth seeing what we do, and then you can put a different method into your own fishing. The first rig I've used is a real simple one. It's just a simple small PVA bag that I hook directly onto the hook. It's just filled with a mixture of different size pellets that have different breakdown rates. Some will drift further downstream, some will stay where they are once the bag's melted. It's just a tactic that I use when I'm not sure how many fish are in a swim or not, and it's just a really sort of a real simple single bite tactic, just to see if there's any fish there or not. Another time I use this setup as well is if I'm roving from swim to swim, if I put little bits of bait in and just having sort of 40 minutes an hour in every swim. It's just something that can get you a bite really quickly, and then you can move on to another swim. Or ideally, if you're sat in the same swim like we are today, it just lets you know if there's a few fish about. There you go. Right, so this is the second cast on that presentation that I showed you, that little small PVA bag on hook, and it's, to be honest with you, it's normally the one that I use when I first arrive in a swim when I'm not sure what I'm going to catch. It's just a small parcel of bait with not a great deal of food in, and it's just really like a one bite tactic. So I just think sometimes getting that one bite is the hardest, and once you've had that one bite, then you can start to build a swim and work it. So I'm quite pleased it's worked this time, to be fair. So it's just that small PVA bag on the hook, just mixed pellets, mixed size pellets, little 6-4mm cheesy garlic pellets, some pro feed pellets. There's not a great deal of food there, but it is just enough to get a bite. And now we've got this bite, it shows us a few fish in swim. So hopefully we can change tactics slightly and try and monopolise the fish while they're here. They do move up and down this stretch quite a lot. You can have periods where you don't get a bite when they're just simply moved off you. So obviously if they're here now, we can put a little bit of bait in and try and get a few more. Typical wharf fish that they don't grow to the sizes around the Trent. Doubles are quite rare on here, but it's a beautiful fish nevertheless. They also have to be monsters. Good hard fighting fish. Caught on that little bag method that I've started off on. I'd say it's probably about the average size, so hopefully where there's this one, there's going to be a few more. The second tactic I'm using now, it's one that's quite new to me, to be honest with you, but not new to a lot of people. It's these little Avid bag clips that you just attach to your bottom run clip, and you just slide the knot through the narrow part of the clip and hook your hook bait into the bottom of it. Now it's something that people have been doing for a long time, but I very rarely use, although I probably should do a little bit more of it. Is it prevents tangles. So if I'm fishing on a big river like the Trent and I'm chucking quite a long way, it helps prevent tangles. And like today I'm fishing under a big canopy of trees as well, and because your hook point's protected, it more or less halves the length of your hook length, because it's double back on itself hooked into the bottom of the bag. It stops your hook length getting caught on any branches that are above your head when you cast it out. And again, it's another real good tactic to use on the right day. So it's exactly the same rig I used before. It's just a 10-pound hook length, a size 12 grappler with that little pellet hair rigged onto that. Well, this is another barbel on that little method I showed you that's using the little PVA bag clip. This is the second cast down. So it just shows that that one works as well. Just feel it just actually a slightly better fish. It's just plodding around at the bottom of the swim. But again, it's another tactic to use on a different day. You know, it's like I say, it's a great one to use on Trent if you've got big chucks so you don't get tangled your plinth up. It's a good one under here. I keep catching this canopy with tip of my rod, so it's a good one to use so you don't get snagged up when you cast out. And the proof that it works. This barbel certainly won't put off by it. Right, so as always, they don't want to come in. It's just plodding around in front. It'll probably see landing it and shoot off again. Straight in. Right, so that's the second barblet trip. Caught on the second different method that I showed you, that little bag on that little bag clip. Again, not a monster, but a lovely fish. Fight well in this current. So we'll get on to another method. Right, the third different presentation today is it's basically the same rig. It's just the bait presentation that's changing slightly. What I've done is I've got some real softened down paste in my gripper lead. And I've even put a little bit around my hook bait. And again, this is a kind of a one bite tactic, but it's also a tactic I use a lot if there's loads of colour in the river, and because it's maximising the attraction. There's loads of scent in these pastes. It's water soluble, so it comes out quite easily, but there's not a great deal of food value to it because it disintegrates quite quickly once it's in water. But it's all about still a bit like those bags of pellets we were using. It's all on that attraction theme. The paste is really simple to make. All I do is the night before I get a little plastic container. I use small pellets. I use a little 3-4 cheesy garlic pellets, and I just cover it in boiling water and just basically put the lid on, leave it overnight, come back in the morning, and your paste is ready. The reason I use such small pellets for paste rather than bigger pellets is because I don't want any lumps in it. I don't want any of those bigger 6 and 8 pellets still being there. I want a nice smooth paste in its consistency that'll break down really, really quickly in water and leave nothing behind that's of any food value for fish other than milk bait. I'm looking at bloody getting feeder out of that thing then. Right, so we've switched over to that paste method that I just showed you. Got a bite within seconds first cast, but unfortunately it cut me off. And I've been sat here now for probably about 20 minutes now without a bite. So I'm just contemplating changing presentations. I just said to Tyrone now, I think we'll get the feeder out, try and introduce a bit of bait, try and entice some fish to feeding. And I'm looking down, getting feeder out of my box, and Tyrone's screaming at me in the background, "You've got a bite, you've got a bite." And I just turn around and the rod is absolutely bent double. So thanks to Tyrone for this one. But this is the third fish now on these three different methods that I've showed you. It's pulling well again, but it has slowed up a little bit. I don't know whether that's because these fish might have moved off slightly. They are known to just move up and down this stretch a little bit, or it might be because sun's come out. But they have started to slow a little bit, which is why I was thinking about changing presentations. And then this one's gone. Thanks to my mobile bite alarm. Nicely done. Thanks for that, mate. Cheers for that. You can come again. Right, so that's the third fish we've got on that third method. Like I say, I got one first cast, but unfortunately I got cut off on a rock or something like that. But that was taken on that paste method I've shown you. Another brilliant bite, thanks to Tyrone. I owe him one for that. Another cracking conditioned River Wharfe barbel. Right, so we've had 3 fish now on those 3 different methods. We've had that little PVA bag on hook, we've had the PVA bag on the bag clip, and we've adjusted that barbel I've just put back now on the paste method. So they're kind of my 3 sort of single bite techniques that I use when I first arrive at a swim. There's obviously a few fish feeding now, so in order to keep them in your swim and not let them drift away, I've switched over to a small river cage feeder, just filled with pellets, packed with a little bit of ground bait at the bottom, and that should keep these fish in the swim for a little bit longer and hopefully get a few more bites. You were a bit slow there when you were telling me I got a bite. Feeder snagged on bottom. It's rolled, I can feel it running away from me, but feeder's wedged on, probably in between some rocks or something. Yep. Alright. Bugger. Tie another hook length up. It were a bite though, wasn't it? Shouldn't wait too long now for another bite on feeder. Right, unfortunately, you might have just seen I've just lost a fish first cast on that feeder. But what I've got to mention previous to that, the great thing about fishing these little river cage feeders is you can regulate how you feed. If I'm getting a lot of bites and I feel there's a lot of fish in swim, I can put some dry pellets in it and just plug it lightly with ground bait, so that bait's coming out all the time and keeping those fish in the swim by feeding them. If bites start to slow down a little bit, and again I want to go down more of this attraction route, I can dampen some pellets down and really squash them in, and those pellets, those wet pellets, will stay in that feeder 5 or 6 casts, maybe more, depending on flow. So it's almost like you can dictate to the fish what you want to do. You can either give them plenty of feed if they want it, or you can cut right back on the feed, but still maintain loads of attraction by using those wet pellets in it. Right, we're away on the feeder. So after losing that fish on the feeder, it's gone again. I've got this one. It's probably the smallest one we've had actually, I think, but it just shows that the method's worked again. You know, there were a few fish in swim, getting regular bites. It's a proper little fight of this one. Giving them what they want in the form of those loose pellets. Just brought another one. You get this one in, it's definitely the smallest of the day, but you don't want to give in. It's a lovely coloured fish. Come on. Right, so not the biggest fish of the day, but that's 2 casts with that feeder on. 2 barbel. I unfortunately lost the first one, but I managed to get this one in. So again, it just shows that they're after a little bit of food. And once you give them a little bit of what they want, then the bites come quite quickly. It's only a small fish, but again, it's a beautiful looking fish, massive tail, and one day it'll be a big fish. Right, so I'll put this barbel back now. That's the 4th barbel now on 4 different tactics that I've showed you. Everyone works on its day. They're all worth having a go to see which one works best, and not everyone works on every single venue, but it's worthwhile giving it a go. Obviously, I'll put this barbel back now. This is proof that all 4 of them do work. So hopefully you've enjoyed it. Hopefully you might have picked 1 or 2 things up, and we'll see you on the next one. There it goes.